I recently purchased this Genesis lookalike controller for the Super Nintendo with nice discrete turbo switches. I got it all cleaned up and ready to go, so I wanted to put it through the paces and try it out with a bunch of different games and get a good feel for it. It's comfortable to hold, and just like an official Sega Genesis controller, it has a curved face and curved handles, which naturally act as a shelf. They draw your pointer fingers forward, not uncomfortably, but yeah, they rest nicely on these shoulder buttons. Nothing's really out of reach. First up, Mario, of course. Okay. I always hate the menus in this game. They switch them up. Start, Y, A. I don't think we're gonna need any turbo in here, but you never know. Come on. I do want it to rock back and forth a little bit more, but it does. You know, there's such a great surface area on the controller already that I can, you know, rest my finger nicely in the center and kind of move back and forth really nicely. But it just doesn't feel fast. So let's compare the official Genesis controller with the Competition Pro. Side by side, it actually looks like the Competition Pro is slightly wider, but in actuality, when you place them on top of each other, they are pretty much spot on in terms of the height and the width. But when you look at them from the side, the Genesis controller is slightly thicker. I don't know, it looks a lot thicker, but it's probably only 25% more. There's a lot more pad to that, but it's probably 25% thicker than the official Super Nintendo controller, and definitely wider. Actually, if you ever find broken controllers, don't just throw them away, because if you have a broken controller or it wears down, the button pads can wear down. Sometimes those pads are interchangeable, so you might find yourself being able to take the pads from one controller and put them in the other. Look at that. Rapid fire. Rapid fire. Auto. Except I can't move now. You know, my mom wouldn't allow me to get this game when I was younger because it had the word carnage in it. She had no problems with me buying the comic books though. But then again, I don't know if she knew. These turbo switches are the best. You flick once to turn on, once for auto. Sometimes with controllers like these there's an additional rate of fire, but I'm alright with what I have here. There's also this slow switch, if you find that helpful. I don't. This isn't going to be useful in your Final Fantasies, but, you know, maybe your Secret of Manas. We got turbo on this sucker, and, yep, Doombo, still dooming it up. Dooming it. The D-pad is actually pretty cool. It's wider than an official Super Nintendo controller. It has a bowl shape, which allows your thumb to rest nicely in there, and you can do your Hadoukens and whatever pretty easily. The L and R are smooth to the touch, really. Very nice. You can see, actually, if you put these side by side with the official Super Nintendo controller, the D-pad is smaller on the official one. It doesn't have that concave shape. It has it's pretty flat. And the L and R buttons are smooth, but they have those L and R printed on them. I guess if you forget which hand is which. Yeah! Now we're cooking with gas. I like to put my dash on the right shoulder button. Let's get our turbo button while we wait through the unskippable intro. Yep. Seems good. Mostly concerned with the dash, but it seems to be working alright. There's a lip on the back side of this one, just like an official Sega Genesis controller, but it's thicker there, so maybe this would slip out of your hands in an intense Super Street Fighter match. But it definitely gives you an advantage over the official Super Nintendo pad, which has nothing. I mean, if it's that much of a problem, you can get gloves or something. Like a Neko video glove. Turbo blocks! It's like a Russian roulette. I found a similar controller made by the company Honeybee. It looks exactly the same except for the branding on the shell here says Honeybee. Its model number is SF-3, and when I got it, I looked at the back and it says Honeybee SF-3. But even then I still wasn't convinced. Maybe it was using the shell with different parts internally. So I opened it up, and I'm pretty sure that this is the exact same controller because it has a Honeybee branded motherboard there, with the Honeybee model number. So it's just, if you really care for Honeybee versus competition, it doesn't matter. They're the exact same controller. In this game, we can compare the Turbo versus the Auto Shot, which is pretty much the same thing. Yeah! So here's the Auto Shot. Here's Turbo Shot. Pretty much just like spraying bullets and until it can't spray anymore, and then there's like a rest period. I mean, I wouldn't say that there's gonna be a disadvantage over one or the other. There's not really much of a difference between the two. Auto Shot seems to fire a continual stream of bullets that doesn't have a gap at the end, or it has basically a bunch of small gaps in between, whereas the Turbo seems to fire all your bullets at once until it can't create any more because there's a limit on the system, and then it once all those bullets fly off screen, it'll start creating them again. It's not a huge difference, to tell you the truth, and I might even just use Turbo more than I use the Auto Shot, just because I can kind of keep my finger on one button, but and then quickly flick it off to charge. So overall, it's actually a pretty decent controller with nice, easy to use turbo switches. It feels comfortable. The D-pad, I wish it could rock a little more. It feels a little stiff in platformers. I didn't test out any fighting games just because I'm not an expert and I don't have any of the movesets memorized, so it just wouldn't have been a very good demonstration. The only thing I have in comparison similar to this is the ASCII pad. I always feel like my fingers are being pulled upwards, and it also has the same style D-pad of the official SNES pad, so it's still the same stiffness, it's still small, but yeah, I prefer this one in general. The name, it goes under two aliases, the Competition Pro Super 16 and the Honeybee SF-3. They're the exact same controller, just a different name. So when you're looking for it, don't be fooled in paying more. The Honeybee usually goes for a lot more, and but yeah, you shouldn't have to pay more than $10 for this thing. So this game, I might actually need 2 turbos, but I don't know if the gameplay is going to be that turbo. I got a frame rate of 12. Oh man, I figured I could do the barrel roll easily. But, nope. It's faster to do it with your pointer finger on your own than to use the turbo. It doesn't seem to do it continually, whereas with my pointer finger I can constantly tap it and there doesn't seem to be a delay as much. But it might be more tiring. Then again, it's not like you're doing barrel rolls all the time, but it would be nice if I could just kind of tap it and it would automatically do a barrel roll.